Good day. This is Terry Holmes along with Eddie Orcutt from VMS Software. We are delighted to know that so many of you have joined our webinar this afternoon entitled Transitioning to VMS Software. So let's get started. What we would like to cover with you today is a brief review and introduction on OpenVMS. We have some very interesting and exciting news that's coming from HPE, which is a continuation of the transition that began in 2013. We have some information, updated information on VMS software, and also on some of our new products that we are in the process of introducing. And included in that will be an update on the x86 port. And then what we're going to try to do, because we have a lot of information to cover and there may be several questions, we're going to try to keep the presentation portion of today's webinar to approximately 35 minutes or so, and to allow plenty of time through the chat box to address questions. So please feel free to enter in any questions that you may have, and we will try to get through all of them and provide suitable answers for you during the period after the formal presentation. So again, we want to thank you for your attendance today, and hope that you find it of real value. So as most of you already know, there is one terrific reason why OpenVMS has been around for over 40 years now, and I think we can put that in one word: trust. It's something that is hard to explain and hard to rationalize sometimes, but you trust the OpenVMS operating system, mainly because of its high availability, also by its security, as well as other things such as the gold standard of documentation. So it's important that you know that VSI's mission is to continue what began 40 some odd years ago and take that forward in everything we do. So that's really important to us, and we hope that it's important to all customers. I think it's also important to point out that you are not alone, that there are still many major organizations using OpenVMS today. When HPE announced that they were going to end support for the platform back in 2013, of course, that sent a shockwave through the OpenVMS community and through OpenVMS users and the organizations they were with. Fortunately, not too much more than a year after that, VSI was formed and began to earn your trust. And we continue to look for ways to earn your trust. But it's important that you know that major organizations today in these different market sectors continue to use OpenVMS. Our mission is to make sure that stays in place, and also to make sure that you see the opportunities to actually grow your OpenVMS environment because of the benefits of high availability and security and some of the other terrific features and benefits and components built into OpenVMS, and things that VSI is doing to expand on that. So let's review for a minute the transition of OpenVMS. In 2013, HPE announced the end of support for OpenVMS, as I stated. On July 31st, 2014, VSI was formed, and slightly prior to that, we purchased the rights to OpenVMS from HP at the time. So what did we purchase? We purchased the exclusive rights to develop new versions on OpenVMS, a perpetual worldwide license, the right to use the OpenVMS trademark and any other marketing rights, as well as the right to release OpenVMS on any hardware, including the mainstream Intel x86 platform. To continue on in the chronology, in 2015, HPE ended their sales of alpha licenses, and that was the same year that VSI introduced its first upgraded integrity, which was version 8.4-1H1, and at the same time introduced its 4 levels of best-in-class support. In 2016, we introduced 3 additional integrity licenses, the version 8.4-2, the 8.4-2L1, and the same in Japanese. In 2017, we introduced 2 new alpha products, our alpha version 8.4-2L1. And later that year, we introduced version 2L2, performance build. The performance build being a product that can make your system operate faster, more efficiently, and oftentimes has been used in terms of organizations that wish to go to emulation. And the Alpha 8.4-202 is an excellent product to help in that, help to mitigate any latency issues. In 2018, HPE OpenVMS version 8.4 earlier, those products were obsoleted from the HPE worldwide price list. And for today, one of the major topics of discussion has to do with the recent news that HPE is removing all VSI OpenVMS licenses and support. From its price list. Simply stated, that means that HPE will not sell any new VSI products effective after June 30th, 2019. And then in 2020, HPE OpenVMS version 8.4 standard support ends at the end of next year. So, for this important step in the transition of going from HPE to VSI for the OpenVMS platform, let's answer a few questions in terms of what does the removal of VSI OpenVMS licenses and support part numbers from the HPE price list mean? Well, simply stated, it means that HPE will not, again, sell any new VSI products effective after June 30th, 2019. What were the factors that led HPE to this decision? Well, first of all, this goes back to that original announcement that was made back in 2013 to exit the business by 2020. And I think the transition and the roadmap and the pattern of behavior from HPE has been fairly consistent in this, in that over the last few years they have slowly migrated away from their support of the OpenVMS market in several different ways, from resources, etc. And they've really turned that over to VSI to be the flag bearer for the OpenVMS operating system. I think another important factor here is that HPE has also come to recognize that VSI, quote, VSI has the execution capabilities to assure the long-term satisfaction for OpenVMS customers and partners. So that plays into their decision of the timing of June 30th. Their recognition that VSI has been around now almost for 5 years. We, of course, have a large parent company called TerraCloud Corporation. So we've demonstrated the ability to address customer needs. We've demonstrated the ability that we have the financial wherewithal and the financial backing for future growth. And it was HPE's decision to make the timing of this change as they have indicated on June 30th. There have also been some calls to actions given within the HPE organization, which you may have already heard of or you may hear about in the near future. First, that HPE sales have been requested to redirect customer inquiries for VSI products to VSI effective June 30th and beyond. And also that HPE personnel have been requested to work with HPE channel partners and to ensure that they become engaged with VSI to secure any reseller arrangements for VSI products. So, where does that lead us today, and specifically on July 1st of this year? What are the ways OpenVMS customers can purchase new VSI products and support? Well, clearly, as many of you have already, you have decided to work with VSI on a direct basis, and that has been very successful for us, and we thank you for that and your business. And also with some of the VSI resellers or channel partners, and we thank them and your work with them in ensuring that you get the right products with the right benefits that you need. Now, we also recognize the fact that there are oftentimes, or at least occasionally, unique situations, and that you may fall into one of those unique situations. And we are all about working towards satisfying the end user customer. And in terms of making sure that you are satisfied. So if you have a unique situation, please let us know. Tell us what the situation is, and let us help you work through this. Again, to gain the benefits, which is the next question, what are some of those benefits of working with VSI direct or through channel partners? The biggest benefit is the rights to new versions. As the only company who is continuing to develop new products for the Open VMS platform by design, we are the only company who can offer rights to new versions, meaning that the right to new versions gains the customer, gains you, automatic upgrades, as well as future license upgrades at no cost. This includes the upcoming version 9.2 major releases on all three platforms, Alpha, Integrity, and x86. The other benefit that you gain by working with VSI or one of our partners is the knowledge that you are working with the organization that is dedicated to the future of Open VMS, whether it's utilization of our upgraded licenses and our support, with the backing of our VSI worldwide support team, or looking for assistance in the professional services area or training. We are the company that is moving the platform forward. So again, that just begs the question, who is VMS Software? As I mentioned earlier, we are part of the TerraCloud Corporation, which is European-based. They are the ones who actually executed the 2014 agreements with HP, now HPE, to gain all of the rights to Open VMS operating system. Our headquarters are outside of Boston, Mass, in Bolton, Massachusetts, about 15 minutes away from the original DEC headquarters. About 3 or 4 months ago, I would have said VSI has approximately 75 employees. Well, we're up to about 90 employees now. We've continued to add, especially to our engineering and development teams for new products, and in particular for our x86 product. But we also have other offices in Malmö, Sweden, and other locations where we have employees working remotely, primarily throughout North America and Europe. And again, the majority of these employees are working as developers and engineers on new product solutions, including x86. And again, as the exclusive developer of Open VMS, VSI is the only company who can offer those rights to new versions. Our strategy is very simple. We desire to be an Open VMS clearinghouse. We look to customers. We want to try to help you in whatever ways we can to assist you with your needs and to help provide solutions, whether it's upgrading licenses and support or professional services, offering cloud solutions to those who want to move to the cloud sooner than the x86 product, and training. These are the 4 support offerings that we have from right to left, platinum, gold, silver, bronze, each with different benefits and different features, platinum being the maximum of being assigned a technical account manager, quarterly patch analysis, quarterly system health checks, and immediate turnaround when requested via email or via phone. Gold is slightly scaled down. Again, a technical account manager is assigned with initial patch analysis and systems health check and a 1-hour response. Silver, there's not a technical account manager assigned, 2-hour response time. And then bronze, similar to the HPE NBD, this is a 9x5 support program with 4 hours response. In terms of VSI professional services, whether it's installation and migration services, or managed services, remote monitoring, application modernization, or as mentioned earlier, training, whether it's on-site or remote, as well as the upcoming online program, which I understand from our training folks is going to be ready by the end of this month, which we're very excited about. VSI can offer you solutions. Logical question for many customers that we've been asked several times, and we will continue to be asked this question, is how are we doing? Well, again, fortunately, because we are backed by a larger organization in TerraCloud, we have had that stability in terms of being able to add people, to start off our company with several high-quality, well-known OpenVMS engineers and developers, to begin the process of developing the new products that we've talked about so far. From a business standpoint, in both 2017 and 2018, our booked orders have increased at least 2 times compared with the previous year, which leads us to the next statement about having a positive EBITDA projection in 2019. If you're not familiar with the term EBITDA, it's really just a measurement of the operating profitability of the company. And whereas the first 5 years of our existence we had a negative EBITDA, or we were in the red, each year that red or that negativity has gotten smaller and smaller, to the point where we are projecting a slight increase, or rather a significant increase in EBITDA over that break-even point to be a positive EBITDA projected for 2019. This is important for our parent company, but it's equally, if not more important, for customers. As this customer transition from HPE to VSI continues, it's good for our business. It allows us to do more things for customers. And again, as this acceleration continues, so therefore, that's why we've been adding engineering resources. I mentioned the 10 to 12 people at the end of last year and early this year, to continue to beef up our professional services and actually to add to our sales team. We've added Ray Turner, who is a seasoned HPE veteran, well-schooled in OpenVMS in London. We've added Janice Lute here in the U.S., and we continue to plan on expanding our sales ops and marketing team here in Bolton as well as elsewhere. So let me turn some time over to Eddie Orcutt, and he will talk about some of our support roadmap.
Thank you, Terry. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay, thank you. This is the support roadmap showing Integrity and x86. We list them out, as you can see on the y-axis there. We list them out by version of release. Our first release was version 8.4-1H1. And our policy is that we will provide a 5-year standard support for any version we release. After the 5 years, it goes on a minimum of 2 years prior version support. But once the product is on prior version support, there are extended engineering support contracts that will still be available for it. As you can see in the slide here, there are no predetermined end dates for that EES support. It just depends upon customer demand. But if you look at version 8.4-1H1, since that was our first release, it is supported longer, or will be supported longer than the standard 5 years that that we list. The policy is that we will support indefinitely the current version of VMS and one release back indefinitely, and then the other versions prior to that will go again on PBS after minimum 5 years on standard support. So 8.4-1H1 we have deemed as being significant for our customers being a first release. Some customers may be there for an extended period of time. So we've extended the support date for that standard support to the end of 2022, and then PBS kicks in at that point. 8.4-2 does have a 5-year standard support that will end in early to mid 2021. And then for 8.4-2L1, since that is the last release to date anyway, before we go to version 9, we know a lot of customers usually park on the last minor release before a major upgrade. So we anticipate extending support for 8.4-2L1 out to at least the beginning of 2025. And then for 9.2, I'm showing at least a 5-year support for standard support for 9.2 and 9.x, as you can see going forward. There are no PBS support dates for it yet, since we have not released it, so those dates are still variable. For x86, starting with the first release version of version 9.2, standard support will start in late 2020 when we anticipate releasing that publicly. And again, that will go for at least 5 years forward too, and the 9.x after it's been released. So those are the support schedules. Again, the major thing to take away from this slide is that we support the current version and one version back indefinitely, and then we will support at least the versions for at least 5 years on standard support before going to PBS.
Eddie, I realize that some people may have heard this before, but would you like to maybe just offer a comment as to why we made the decision to not release specifically a version 8.5, some of our logic behind that?
It has to do with putting more focus on x86 and trying to pull the timelines in for release on that. So it was decided not to come out with a version 8.5, for example, or an 8.4-3, but to continue on and provide patch kits and updates to the layered products, if you will, and the SIPs for 8.4.2L1, and then also put more emphasis on 9.2 to pull the release dates in for that. And then for Alpha, don't forget Alpha. We still have a lot of Alpha customers that are out there. There are 2 releases of Alpha available today, 8.4-2L1, which we call our standard release, and then 8.4-2L2, which we call our performance build, where we actually took VMS, we rebuilt it with the optimized EV6, EV7 architecture. So we tuned it for those platforms. So we now take advantage of the hardware instructions, new hardware instructions that are available for EV6 and greater. So we do see a performance increase with that. A lot of the executable images have shrunk because prior to this performance build, a lot of the byte word load store instructions and some other instructions had to be emulated in software because there was no hardware equivalent instruction. Now there is. In EV6 and later, we've optimized VMS for that. And again, there's a nice performance increase. Depends upon the application, of course. So your mileage may vary, but we see anywhere, internally anyway, within VSI, we see about a 25 to 30% performance increase, and that includes building VMS. So when we build VMS Alpha, our build times have been reduced by about 25%. And we expect most customers will see at least a 25% performance gain. Some, again, depending upon the application and your storage configuration, can see upwards of 100+% performance improvement. So a good release. Again, it's only for the EV6 architecture and above, EV6, EV7. That's the only ones that we were supported on. And getting back to the support, at least for our policy, we support the current version and one version back indefinitely. That's why you don't see on Alpha anyway any PBS start dates. Is because we don't have a third release yet of Alpha to be able to go back and offer this. So again, that's keeping with our policy, and then once we go to version 9.2, that will be standard support for a minimum of 5 years as well, going forward for that major release of version 9. Now for a little bit on the x86 update. We're expecting this year, around mid-year, June timeframe or a little later, to be able to provide the VMS 9.0. That's an early adopters kit. Now, 9.0 is not really meant for widespread use. It's mainly for some of our key ISV partners and customers who will test VMS in a development environment. This will be a cross-build environment where you actually do your compiling and linking on an integrity box, and then you will copy it across the network to an x86 VMS version for actual runtime. So that will be the environment for 9.0. 9.1, which will be out at the end of 2019, possibly early 2020. But we will offer a more general release for 9.1. It will be available to any customer, any partner that needs it. It will not be a cross-build environment. Everything will be native on x86. And then in late 2020 is when we expect to have version 9.2, the production release available, and then you can, and also for integrity, and then version 9.2 coming out for Alpha a couple of months after that.
Eddie, would you also like to make a comment about, I guess we'll call it a pre-version 9.0 that a few partners have received some components?
Yeah, what we've done with some of our key ISV partners to date is we've given them the development tools, which are the compilers and linker, and some system libraries, so that they can today start compiling their code and seeing if there are any issues going forward with the new compiler and the new LLVM arrangement within version 9 and above. So we do have that out with some partners today. Oracle is one of them. Kevin Duffy's team has that. To date, we don't have any major issues that I'm aware of as far as with the compilers or the LLVM and generating code on the back end. So everything's looking pretty good to date with that. But again, we do have a development kit out to some select partners. And in addition to supporting VMS on bare metal hardware, we are looking at supporting different virtualization technologies. To date, we are working with the Oracle VirtualBox, and we're working with KVM, and we will work by version 9.1 and 9.2 with the Zen project and also with VMware. Those are on our roadmap, and we are actively working, with those companies and projects to make sure that we provide adequate support and have support for OpenVMS in those environments. So new VSI products, we are busy. We are very busy doing the port, as you saw through at the timeline on the generic roadmap, if you will. But we've also have released last year in Q3, we released a EAK version, an early adopters kit, a version 10.5 or VSI's TCP/IP. Hopefully everybody knows it is based on the Multinet version 5.5 release with updates and bug fixes. So the capability that you have in the Multinet environment is what's being brought forward with the new stack. Please note that the VSI TCP/IP will be the only stack available on version 9 releases of VMS, especially on x86. It will be the only stack that's available there. But it does offer improvements as far as in capability and adherence to standards. You can see it has an IPS intrusion prevention system, improved network monitoring, is more standards compliant, as I said. It is available today. It is download loadable. If you need access to the kit, please let us know. The license is included in the base OpenVMS license from VSI. So as long as you have a BOE or HAOE license, you can run this. There's no additional charge, as this is a system integrated product. So it is built in with VMS. Even though the initial kit is delivered as a standalone product, again, the license is included with VMS. It will be integrated into future releases of VMS, so as we come out with version 9.1 or 9.0, 9.1, 9.2, and etc. This stack will be embedded and included in there. It will be the default stack that will be available. So a summary is I've kind of given hopefully a lot of the overview of what the TCP/IP new kit is. It is a new product from VSI. It will be PCSI installable instead of being VMS installable. It's based on Multinet, but better. As I mentioned, there are a lot of bug fixes and a lot of new features that are also being added. It's enabled with any of the OS licenses. It can coexist with TCP/IP services on the same system. You can only run one stack at a time, but you can have them both loaded on your system, and we do provide a command procedure to allow you to switch between stacks. So if you want to run TCP/IP services, you can run it. If you want to test out the new VSI TCP/IP stack, you can go through this switch utility we have, and you can try it out as well. Again, just to emphasize, it will be the only stack available on x86. The expected delivery for the newer version, as we are working on the next release, 10.6, will be Q3 of this year. Some of the benefits, again, I've listed a couple of them. More up-to-date standards compliance. It is more secure with the IPsec support with the IPS. For SSH, there is the Suite B elliptical curve cryptography that is available today. Two-factor authentication is coming along with CAT card support for those who are in a government environment, so that is coming as well. It is fully IPv6 enabled. You do get the internet file print terminal services included with it. You can execute DECnet over IP without modifications. And coming, hopefully it'll be in 10.6, will be the CKO, which is the checksum offload engine, will be available with the 10.6 release, and more features as we move forward as well. We've also have a password management enhancement for VMS, which is long overdue. The release of that is pretty much any day. We are in the process of kitting it and also testing out the kit to make sure that we didn't introduce any bugs in that process. So we're in the final stages of getting this release available. I'm hoping that by the end of this month, by the end of April, it will be available for customer use. There are no licenses for this. Again, this is part of the password management capability of VMS. The license is included within the OE licenses. Some of the features of this is that you'll be able to specify a number of uppercase characters from the password, minimum lowercase, special characters, the minimum number, the minimum numbers you must use in the password, and also the number of categories that must be used. Categories meaning how many numbers of special characters, or lowercase or uppercase characters must be included within the password. So this does adhere to the DoD standard that is out there. It goes above and beyond what NIST recommends, but this is for our more classified environments because you can configure this to your environment if you don't require all of these capabilities or all of the special categories. Again, you can configure this to your environment, but we did want to make sure that we adhere to the DoD standard for password management. This will be available in Integrity and Alpha, and it will be standard built in with all of the future releases. What will be available here in Q2 will be a patch kit, so you can patch Alpha systems and Integrity systems, and it is supported, I think it's supported on all versions of VSI, OpenVMS. We've also added a couple of new products. PerfData is one of them. This is one we purchased at HP a couple of months ago, back in January. It is a software as a solution model, or service as a model, as a solution model. We expect this to be or what it is an integrated performance monitoring and management capacity planning solution. This goes above and beyond what you can get with T4. This also has capacity planning where you can play what-if games and say, okay, if my CPU is increasing its X amount over a 6-month period, then what's it going to be, 6 months from now or a year from now? So when will I have to do hardware upgrades or retune my system? So it will be a good capacity planning solution. We offer this as a standalone product on VMS, or you can also get professional services in VSI where we will actually assist you with the capacity planning and help you assess when your systems need A tuned or B, when new hardware needs to be added. Some of the key benefits is performance lifecycle management. It is a good tool. You can do benchmarking with system sizes, you can troubleshoot analysis. It is supported on version 7.2-2 of Alpha and 8.2 and higher on Integrity. It also will gather and monitor. I think it's over 1,500 different parameters within VMS that you can look at. So it goes, like I say, above and beyond what T4 can provide. Even though T4 is a free tool and users can use it themselves, per that there is a license for it, but the customers can use the product to the utmost of its capability. But if you do require additional analysis, then services can be provided from VSI. Another new product is Service Control. This is a good application support tool that will allow you to take an application that only runs on one node at a time. It's not VMS cluster aware, and it will allow you to make that application VMS cluster aware. It basically encapsulates the application. You can also put dependencies so that in case application A depends upon B, if application B depends upon certain disk drives and network adapters being present, you can put these dependencies within the setup of this. So you can make your application highly available, again, even though the application is only runs upon one node at a time. This will allow you to reduce your service recovery times. You can help in your SLA fulfillments, and you can get detailed information about the services and resources they depend on and their interdependencies from this tool. This tool has a command line interface to it, DCL command line, plus there's a GUI that goes along with it as well. You can manage this yourself, or again, you can get VSI to come in and manage this for you to help you set it up and make sure that it is configured properly. It is supported on Alpha and Integrity, for Alpha 7.3-2 and above, and for Integrity 8.2 and above. I know that there was in the earlier webinar presentation, there are a couple of customers that use a freeware product called NCAFE, or Non-Cluster Aware Failover Environment. It's comparable to that as far as functionality, but it goes above and beyond. It creates dependencies or handles dependencies, and it also will allow you to monitor the disk drive availability as well. So if anybody out there is running NCAFE, this tool will provide that same capability plus a lot more.
Okay, thank you, Eddie. So I think we've pretty much stuck to our plan of giving approximately a 35-minute presentation. Because of the additional information that you may have received so far today on new products and the x86 update, as well as the news from HPE, we wanted to give some time to allow a series of questions, whatever you'd like to ask, and hopefully we can provide the answers to you during this webinar. So let's see, we have a first question, and Eddie, I'll let you chime in on this one. I've talked to Claire Grant, but it has to do with x86 and the first boot. Maybe you can comment on some of where we stand on some of the proof points and how close we are to the x86 first boot.
Yeah, if you'll visit our webpage, we're keeping that pretty much up to date now. There's been a lot of enhancements on the webpage in the past month anyway, or 6 weeks. We've added a lot of content, updated a lot of content, but regarding the boot, there is a boot update page there, and we have 27 proof points, and I think we're up to proof point number 23 if you want to go through them serially, but now we're at the point of where we don't have to do them serially, so we can bounce around. So 24 may not be done, but 25 is. 26 and 27 are well on their way. I know Claire is very optimistic that he's expecting first boot to be soon. Hopefully within a couple of weeks. I think that's his expectations, but you know, we'll see how it goes, but that is the expectation. So things are progressing very nicely. Very optimistic about it.
That question was from Lauren. Thank you for that question. Let's see, we have another question from Mitchell. Eddie, would you like to update everyone on the Samba release?
Samba is in the final testing phase. It should be available within, I think, 30 days anyway. The new Samba release, for those who aren't aware, is based off of version 4.6.5 of the open source Samba release that's out there. It has a lot more capability, including the SMB version 2, version 3 support, so we get away from SMB v1, which had the WannaCry susceptibility. A lot more capability. We think performance is going to be at least on par, if not better, for my internal testings than what we had with the previous version. And I'm not sure, because I wasn't a huge user of Samba, the first release of it anyway, if I can call it Samba 1. There is now a net use command upon VMS with the new Samba installation, so that if a user wants to go out and map a remote drive, whether it is a Windows device or another VMS box, you can do that for your own personal use. I don't think it will accept it as a system-wide disk, but if you need to mount a drive personally from another system, from a VMS system, that is now possible with the net use command. So I thought that was a good increase. If that was not available in version 1, which I don't remember there, it is now within the new release of Samba that should be available within about 30 days.
Thanks, Cindy. We have a question from Keith. Will Java and OpenVMS be available directly from VSI rather than from HPE?
Well, today Java is available for directly from HPE. That is the arrangement that has been set up. As we go to x86, we do expect to be able to offer Java directly from VSI, but that will be an x86 capability by getting the next release of Java on x86. For Integrity and Alpha, we're not sure how we're going to handle that at the moment, but right now, for Integrity and Alpha, those Java releases are available from HPE.
And here's a follow-up question from Lauren. How are DocKit updates coming?
Say it again?
How are DocKit updates coming?
The documentation is coming along Very well. We have a team working on it 24/7. We're putting new manuals out there almost on a weekly basis, not only for the dock set itself, but also for individual manuals for products such as Omni, OSAP is out there, TPIP Services is there. One of the improvements to the web page that I mentioned a little while ago is that there is now a documentation section on the web page, not only for HP legacy documentation, but also for some of the newer manuals that VSI has rebranded and updated. So those are available on the website as well. And we will continue to add to that list as time goes on. So progress is being made every day on documentation.
Yeah, and I can just to follow up on Eddie's comments, I can attest to the amount of documentation that's now on the website. So hopefully you'll have a chance to go on to our website, check it out for yourself. We hope that you'll be pleasantly surprised at what's now up on the website, not only from documentation, but a listing of all products and many other items of importance and items of information to you. Here's a question from Karthik. Any technical form is available. Sorry, this is jumping around on me. From VSI to discuss Open VMS and maybe related issues. At present, we don't have that in play at the moment. We have been asked questions about things like the boot camp. As of right now, we are probably leaning away from a boot camp style fall event. We're looking at doing some other things, and then probably a Open VMS technical forum probably sometime in the spring. Now, in the meantime, we do intend on using this vehicle for webinars in more specific technical topics. Some would be related as we continue to march towards version 9.2 on x86. Some will be to provide updates and more of a technical forum for x86, as well as some of the other products, but maybe focused on x86 and some of the components, some of the new components that Eddie mentioned in terms of new products. Okay, let's see, here's a question from Sergey talking about discounts for existing licenses that looks like the customers, HPE Open VMS users could expect from VSI during migration to VSI Open VMS. So our policy has been and continues to be that since we are two separate organizations, although working together as partners for the benefit of the customer, VSI does not have a quote-unquote trade-in policy for the HPE licenses. However, in lieu of that, we do recognize the fact that there is value to those licenses. Companies have spent money on those licenses, and therefore that's why we continue with our discounting of practice of licenses to allow that transition to be made easier from a budgetary standpoint, while at the same time ensuring that customers gain the benefits of rights to new versions for future releases, and all the benefits that means commercially, as well as from a technical standpoint. Here's a question from Tony. Is there a chart that shows hardware supported by VSI Open VMS, i.e. BL860C, i2s, RX2660s, etc.?
Yes, if you look on the roadmap on the web page, there's a slide, I forget what slide it is, but there's a slide there that talks about the hardware and I/O options that are supported and on which release we're looking at. So yes, there is a page there. That page will be updated as we get new gear in-house and test additional platforms, but it's the initial list of hardware that we have, so yes.
Thanks, Eddie. Here's a question from Paul. Once x86 is released, are there any plans to provide licenses to universities? Well, we provide licenses to universities today. For their business operations, we provide a program that follows in the same pattern as HPE, a college licensing program. which has a different commercial model than our standard model in order to ensure that universities can continue to take advantage of Open VMS. Now, part of the intention of what we want to get to, though, is from an educational standpoint. So we're looking at different ways of how we can tie this into the educational element to get these in the hands of educators, no matter at what level of education, so that hopefully a new generation or new individuals to Open VMS can be introduced to Open VMS and understand the benefits of it. So I know we've been saying this for a while, but it is still on our radar scope, and again, something that we should be able to later in 2019 address with a proper program. Bear with me a minute. We're getting a lot of questions in. I want to make sure I hopefully don't skip anyone's questions. Okay, here's a question. All clients, a statement and a question. All clients are moving towards the cloud. Is that good? Is that good to get new customers for VMS? Question. Can't we use Open VMS directly on cloud instead of having in between OS, Windows, or Linux? Eddie, would you like to comment on that?
Which question is that?
It's talking about, the question is from Karthik, it's talking about clients moving to the cloud. Is that good for VMS, first of all? In fact, I can comment on that. I think yes, that's good for VMS, at least for those clients, those customers who want to go to the cloud, because as Eddie explained, our x86 and the virtualization companies that we're working with today will be able to take your Open VMS environment to the cloud if you wish to go in that direction, instead of just staying on bare metal. So maybe that. And then the second part of the question is, can't we use Open VMS directly on cloud instead of having, it looks like, intermediaries such as Linux or maybe Windows?
Well, if you go to cloud, you'll be running on some hypervisor somewhere, and we will provide support in VMS that will support some of the popular hypervisors there. So you won't have to have Windows or Linux or a bare metal emulator like we do today with Alpha, since there are Alpha emulators there. If I understand the question correctly, that's the way I'm seeing it anyway.
Yep. Okay. Thank you, Eddie. Yuri's question, how does today's HP step affect availability of hobbyist licenses? And then the second portion of that, any VSI plans in this area? Well, we can't speak for HP, but I would imagine this would, in fact, my understanding is they've already curtailed their hobbyist license availability on OpenVMS products, but Eddie, you may have more insight than I do on that. At VSI, we do have plans to have a program that addresses the needs of hobbyist licenses. I mentioned educational licenses, things like that, to help expand the base. Our first step towards that is this will be offered through our training program shortly. It will be basically an alpha hobbyist license, like a DS10 type of license, that will be available through an AXP emulator. And so that will be an initial dive, if you will, into the hobbyist license ability. Eddie, do you want to maybe expand on that a little bit and address anything else having to do with hobbyist licenses?
Yeah, for the education license, we have a bundle that we put together where we have the FreeXP emulator, and we bundled that in with OpenVMS Alpha. I think it's the performance release that's on there. We do, like I said, emulate a low-end alpha system. OpenVMS is there. There's a 6-month license pack, I think, that's renewable that we load on there. And we've preloaded, I should say, the compilers and other build tools that you will need, and I think Java may be included in there as well. so that students in the educational space will be able to use VMS and to use it for learning and developing code, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. From Shale, do you plan on adding patch access to the website like HPE had, seeing what patches are available, viewing release notes, etc.? Well, the short answer to that is yes. As Eddie inferred, over the last 2 months, we've spent a lot of work on the website, a lot of time adding content. We continue to, our plans continue to add more content, more interactivity, interaction with customers, partners. So yes, that is part of our plans. Let's see, from Robert, have customers who purchase support with system purchase from HPE, the silence has been deafening. How do we get patches and contact VMS for various software issues, challenges? Well, I'll address the first part of that. There's several ways you can get in touch with us. One, you're on this webinar right now, so hopefully this is somewhat helpful for you. But you can also contact us at info@vmssoftware.com or at sales@vmssoftware.com. You get the same information going to our contact page on our website. You're more than welcome to contact myself, Terry Holmes, terry.holmes@vmssoftware.com, or Eddie Orcutt, eddie.orcutt, or cutt@vmssoftware.com. Or we also have phone numbers. So we're happy to understand what your needs are, so we can, if we don't have the solution right away, at least we will know about it to come up with a solution for you. Here's a question from Mike. 2 questions. Will the slideshow be made available? Yes. This slideshow and presentation with audio will be available probably by the end of this week on our website. And I think we've already addressed, Mike, the question about hobbyists licensing program. Here's a question from John. Will layered products be part of 9X releases, or will they be separate costs? Eddie, do you want to comment on the first part of that?
Say that one more time. I'm sure I caught all of that.
Yeah. Will layered products be part of, I think what's meant here is, will layered products be part of version 9.0 or 9.2, 9.3, etc.? Will they be available or part of the overall cost structure as well?
Yes, it will be available with starting with 9.0, then 9.1 and 9.2. We will add additional layered products as we get them converted. But yes, we'll provide as many layered products as we can within the time frame for 9.0, and then we will continue to add until the full suite of layered products are available. I'm not aware of leaving out any layered products going from Integrity to x86. I think the full suite, again, given customer demand, is what we will be supporting on x86 going forward.
And in terms of the cost, again, we're looking at a couple of different models. One is to continue with the perpetual licensing model, where it would be probably an a la carte approach. We're right in the middle of internal meetings to discuss that, as well as being able to offer subscription-based programs. So there'll be more to come in detail on this, probably in the not-too-distant future. Let's see, here's a question from, okay, no, I guess we answered that question. We've got an okay. From Wesley, will VSI release or support any terminal emulators? Eddie, would you like to comment?
I don't know about terminal emulators, not that I'm aware of. I'm not sure I quite understand that. We support various terminal emulators connected to VMS, but I'm not sure if I grasp all of that.
Okay. Well, maybe he'll be able to clarify that a bit more while we continue. From David, yes, the presentation deck will be available online on our website, again, targeting the end of this week. Here's a question, and the question was answered because he said he found it on our website, and that's good. Another question about college license programs, which we have commented on. Okay, and for Robert, let's see. The part of the original question asked was the statement is, I meant HPE has been totally silent, not doing anything to transition. Is there a list of applicable downloadable patches?
There's a list of patches available from VSI. I'm assuming HPE has some of these, but not all, at least for the VSI versions of VMS. But yes, there are patch kits available. In fact, I think there was a new master patch kit that was sent out to VSI support customers, I think about a week ago. But if you need a copy of that, please let us know. Contact Terry or myself or info or sales at VMS Software, and we will get you that list of patches.
Yeah, I think for Robert's benefit, I would imagine we can pull this off of contact information and send him that information. So let's make a note of that, Eddie.
Okay.
Let's see, from Christopher, looks like Active Directory compatibility, pro question, con question, security issues question. Address that?
Well, for an LDAP, we do have an LDAP capability with VMS. There is an LDAP agent for login on VMS, and it does use encryption to go out and attach to an LDAP server for external authentication. So that capability is there, and it is being updated to use the latest encryption. I don't have a time frame or on the update for it, but I do know one is in the works. And if you have any requirements on that, please let me know, and we will get you more information on that.
Here's a question from Mohan. It says, as most of the customers are migrating out of VMS, I'm going to take exception to that question or statement. What is your strategy to take VMS to new customers who didn't use VMS before? It's a good question. So just to comment, Mohan, on your initial statement, clearly back in 2013, everyone had to have or began to think about a migration strategy away from OpenVMS. We believe that some of that migration, because of earlier plans, needed to continue on, and in many situations may have been successful, but in many situations may not have been at least fully successful. So that's why I think there are still a lot of OpenVMS customers out there who may have smaller OpenVMS environments with less apps running on them, but nevertheless they're still there running many apps. Eddie knows firsthand, he could tell you horror stories about companies spending millions and millions and millions, in the tens of millions, even over $100 million in their efforts to migrate off of OpenVMS and not being at least totally successful. So our plans to expand the base, besides some of the things that have been raised to make people aware of the benefits of OpenVMS that have been raised by many of your questions, we also believe that there's, besides, again, satisfying and keeping the installed base happy and pleased and moving forward, we also believe that the market that you just mentioned, of those who have migrated or have migrated some of their applications away, may be a very good audience for us to reach back out to and encourage them to look at our x86 product in particular to see about moving some of their applications back onto OpenVMS because of the benefits that we all know OpenVMS has. And considering the security issues and a lot of the personal data legislation and many of the other cyber security issues that are out there today with hackers and whatnot, that it's important that we go back to those customers who have some familiarity with VMS, and we think we can attract some of them back to expand their reduced OpenVMS and grow that again. So certainly that's one market that we are specifically going to be targeting. We think it will take longer to move entire organizations away from other operating systems back to OpenVMS, but those who have experience with it, we think that's part of the lower hanging fruit, besides keeping the current installed base happy, satisfied, and moving forward. So I hope that's helpful to your question. Here's another question from Derek. Will OpenVMS be supported on Nimble storage?
We are working with HP to get that, but we're not there yet. So that is a work in progress. It is something we want to do, and I think HP wants to do it as well. So we're working in that direction. I don't have a TV, a time for this to be completed as of yet, but it is something we're working on.
Okay, thanks, Eddie. Well, here's another very, very pleasant note. I'll just summarize. The last statement says, "Thank you for your great support and saving our lives," with a smile factor. So I think we've now hit the top of the hour. If there are any last-minute questions, please submit them now, and we'll try to address them very quickly. If not, please be in contact with us at the different ways of reaching us. Here you can see on the screen, whether it's info@VMS Software, sales@VMS Software. Go through our website. There's ways to connect to us there, as well as the old-fashioned phone number. So unless there's something else, again, we want to thank all the participants today in today's webinar. We hope it's been of interest and of value to you. Oh, wait a minute. Here's one more quick question. This is from David. Currently on version 8.3, do we need to perform an upgrade to 8.4 or 8.4-1H1 prior to migrating licenses to BSI? Will BSI support version below 8.4? I think we addressed the versions below 8.4. The simple answer is yes, we can, but we cannot provide engineering support. So we can provide L1 and L2 support, but not engineering support. For that, you would need to remain with your HPE support package. Eddie, do you want to make a comment about the need to perform an upgrade to 8.4 if you're currently on 8.3?
The answer is yes. We support direct upgrade from 8.3 to 8.4 1H1 or greater. There is a chart. I guess we need to get this on the web page as well. But there are charts out there that shows supported upgrade paths. I know the support team has this available, but we'll try to get that available also for our customer base and put it on the web. In addition, we have a chart that shows cluster version compatibility, mixed nodes within the cluster as well. So we'll shoot for getting that information on the web page.
We can do that pretty quickly, I think, too.
Yes, and if you need it as soon as we get on the web page, you can individually just write us and we'll send you a copy of the slides.
Yeah. So again, we want to thank all of you for your participation today. We anticipate interacting with you again very soon. Specific individual questions or situations, we're happy to help you with. And again, our focus is the customer in what we do because we believe that will be best for not only the current customer base, the future customer base, and quite frankly for VMS software and our health as well. So thank you again. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll speak to you again very soon, I hope. Take care.